And we are all here now, and the magic hour is upon us. So I will set the tone. As I ring this bowl, let's relax into this common time and space and share the silence, realizing that we need to be together. We yearn for connection, the familiar faces of friends, and the sound of shared voices. Let's find an inner peace away from the hubbub of our daily lives for a while this morning. Thank you, Michael. That was lovely. Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the Chester River, and a special welcome to our friends, members, and visitors, both here in the sanctuary and those joining us on Zoom. Our mission, as noted on the cover of your order of service, is to inspire, inform, and support all who seek spiritual and personal growth and a more equal and just community. I'm Jan Sprinkle, along with Connie Schroth, worship leaders joining the Reverend Ann Ledbetter for our service today. Chaplain Ann, as we know her, recently retired after it was over 10 years, and I'm not sure how long it was, as chaplain at Heron Point, where Connie and I are both residents. And she has been a regular speaker here at UUCR in the past, and lives in Middletown, Delaware, with adorable dog Wesley. I'm surprised you didn't bring him.
He wanted to come.
And it is a pleasure to welcome Ann back to our pulpit. Thank you for including us in your active schedule this morning. I have several announcements. Number one, this might be the most important one. Someone mistakenly picked up Greg Schutz's glasses and left theirs when he was here as a guest speaker on September 29th. He left your Italian framed glasses in the office, but would like to have his returned. So whoever is having trouble seeing, next announcement, which is in your order of service, I believe, pizza and postcarding after the service today. This is the last opportunity for this voting season, and every card reaches a voter, and as we all know, every vote counts. We're reminded of that regularly. Third item, this one was from Catherine, a constitutional convention. Reverend Catherine will lead a book discussion on the Turn Away Study, which describes what happens to women who want an abortion and either receive one or are turned away. The discussions are Thursdays, October 17th through November 14th. Either fill out the Google form or let Reverend Catherine know that you're coming. And by the way, Reverend Catherine is our RE coordinator today, so she's back there with whatever youth are here. There is a potluck on Friday at 6 o'clock at the home of Joy Kin. Wave your hand, Joy. Those potlucks are always great fun. I think I'm missing one. A final one that we've heard before. We need service coffee hosts and greeters and potluck hosts. So those of you who've been holding back, this is an opportunity to volunteer. It's a low risk, low effort job, and we really appreciate it. There are sign-up sheets on the whiteboard out in the lobby. I hope there are no more that I have missed. Let's go to the chalice lighting now. The words are in your service. Oh, Michael has an announcement. I'm sorry.
I'm hoping to put together a choir consisting of any interested members of this congregation. I'm gonna see if I can get another notification about this sent out, so like via email or something, so I can get an email list or another, and coordinate times for rehearsals and just seeing who's interested. Yep.
Thank you, Michael. And let me point out that this is another low-risk volunteer opportunity. There are no auditions required. There's no test to be taken. So now we can light the chalice. Anne will lead us in the words that are in your order of service, and I will light the candles.
Together we read, "We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within all creation. We light this chalice for truth. May the search for truth be within us always. We light this chalice for love. May the love for others be strong in our hearts."
Now is your opportunity to show off your voices. Hymn number 44 in the gray hymnal. This might be one that most of us know.
We
The reading this morning is from the Psalms, Psalm 65, selected verses. Praise is due to you, O God, and to you shall vows be performed, O you who answer prayer. To all flesh shall come. By awesome deeds you answer us with deliverance, O God of our salvation. You are the hope of all the ends of the earth and of the farthest seas. By your strength you establish the mountains. You are girded with might. You silence the roaring of the seas, the roaring of their waves, the tumult of the peoples. Those who live at earth's farthest bounds are awed by your signs. You make the gateways of the morning and the evening shout for joy. Here ends the reading.
We are now at that time in the service to share both joys and concerns with the congregation. For those here in the sanctuary, simply come up to the mic and speak, and I will drop a stone in the water. We have authorized the service leader to choose whether we light a candle or drop a stone. Connie provided some proper river stones now, and I think it's only right to use them. And first, I will drop a stone acknowledging the suffering going on around the world, in this country with natural disasters and man-made around the world. After that, come up and I will provide the microphone to you and drop a stone in as they come.
Good morning. I reported several weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, about a former member and a neighbor reporting that her husband was not doing well. That was 2 weeks ago. He died this week. His name is Dr. I'm going to have trouble with this. Dr. Knox, Eric Knox. And he used to attend with Jeannie, Anthony Knox. They were wonderful people, and the neighbors all had a wonderful celebration yesterday afternoon in his name in our neighborhood, and it was such a delightful sharing of events. I hope you'll remember Jeannie, who's just about right there.
Thank you, Vita.
So of concern are some members of the community who need help, and that is the homeless. And I had a talk with Carol Neiman at our market yesterday, farmer's market, and I understand there are about 15 individuals who you don't see. They come out at night, but Carol's been most active in trying to get them help, and the council just is no help. The mayor and the town manager and Ron Fithian, who's head of the councilman of whatever he is, Rock commissioners, that's it, yes, thank you. And so she suggested writing notes. She said handwritten or read rather than texted or emailed, and short and to the point, that this is outrageous that we're not able to do anything. There's one fancy 2-part man and woman porta potty thing in town that is kept locked, except like if someone is having a festival, then they have to pay rent to have it unlocked. So, and I understand that shop owners have removed the benches in front of their shops. Anyway, I don't know what we can do, but letters would help anyway.
John Ramsey has something to say.
Go ahead.
Hello, hello. Good morning. Oh,
I'm sorry, he's on there. Okay.
me first, Connie. Sorry. Um, I had, I'm not with you today. I had surgery last Thursday to correct deformities in my foot, which hopefully they'll get better, but it's got me laid up for a few weeks, really. At any rate, but also a big joy, and I see that she's in the sanctuary today, is my mother celebrated her 102nd birthday on Friday. Unfortunately, I was not able to be present at her birthday dinner at the kitchen on Friday night, but I'm sure she had a good time. So, that's all. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'd just like to tell you all about a man who recently died at Heron Point. His name was Ken Cowley, and for the last 4 years, he has funded and managed an area near the nursing wing at Heron Point. It's called the Serenity Garden, and he has spent a lot of money and bossed a lot of people around, and now it is absolutely stunning. It's just about complete, and now it's growing into its own, and it's full of roses and azaleas and pansies and petunias, and it's just a year-round joy. So I just wanted you guys to know about him because he was a really special, he was a wonderful boss. He had made lists. He'd sit out there and look at everything, and then he'd make a list and give it to me. Let's take care of this.
Let me add to that the Serenity Garden hosted for the past 2 years a family of ducklings. And this year it started with 7 and ended with 6 that finally flew away. 11 and 9. Oh, 11 and 9. Oh, there you go.
Hi, I would just like to share the joy of being a member of this congregation and to say, what a gorgeous day, huh? Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Well, for all those concerns and the joys that have been voiced here today, as well as those that are held in your hearts and that you're not sharing with us, I'm going to drop one more stone in to acknowledge those. And then we will have a moment of silence. Blessed be. Connie will now lead us in a meditation.
This is a Jewish prayer from Earth Prayers. How wonderful, O Lord, are the works of your hands. The heavens declare your glory. The arch of the sky displays your handiwork. In your love, you have given us the power to behold the beauty of your world, robed in all its splendor, the sun and stars, the valleys and hills, the rivers and lakes, all disclose your presence. The roaring breakers of the sea tell of your awesome might. The beasts of the field and the birds of the air bespeak your wondrous will. In your goodness, you have made us able to hear the music of the world. The voices of loved ones reveal to us that you are in our midst. A divine voice sings through all creation. And now I'd like to announce the offering for the good works of this church.
Good morning. It's a joy to be with you. I feel very at home and comfortable amongst you. I was here a few weeks ago with Mindy Miller to hear, I can't remember, Reverend Catherine speak about listening as hospitality. And it was wonderful. It reminded me that a former colleague of mine from Wilmington, also Presbyterian, moved to somewhere on the Chesapeake in Virginia a couple of years ago and trained as an educator. Anyway, she became a part-time pastor of a Unitarian Fellowship, and has since moved to North Carolina, to Brevard. So I called her that night and told her how much I had enjoyed being with you, and it reminded me of her and how she was doing in her new home. And she has found a wonderful home in a Unitarian fellowship there in Brevard. Her husband, a Presbyterian pastor, goes to the early morning service at the Presbyterian church, and then comes over and joins her. And as a new member, she's already like vice chair of the board or something. But she was telling me about all these different things, and said that a group at her church, there are a number of former pastors, Presbyterian, Methodist, whatever, in that fellowship. And that they had done recently a book discussion on The Great Search by John Philip Newell. So I ordered the book. Inadvertently, I ordered it not only on Kindle, but on Audible. And as I walked Wesley each day, I listened and was able to mark, and I commend it to you. It is a wonderful book. And yes, if I came back, I would talk to you about it. But it was a wonderful book, and it really flows into my message today. So the topic is awe. And I'm going to begin by just apologizing for my Southern accent, which wants to make awe 2 syllables. It's 1 syllable, and when I get it as 1 syllable, it sounds more like a grunt than an actual word. But that's why awesome and awestruck and awe-inspiring are just easier to say. A little over a year ago, my mother died. Just shy of 93 years old, she had lived a long, full life, suffered a very short illness in her final week, and experienced what most would consider a good death. Nonetheless, I have grieved the loss of my mother every day since. Grief affects our lives in various ways, and grief can be a challenging journey. I was sad, yet grateful. I was tired, but had trouble sleeping. I was lonely, but not good company. I had work to tend to, but had difficulty focusing. I cried easily and could not control my tears. As part of my grief work, I registered for a class online, a seminar of sorts, called Gratitude and Grief through gratefulness.org. I was not able to attend the sessions live, but slowly I worked my way through all 6 sessions. They were led by co-leaders, and each session had a guest speaker, including the poet David White, and several other authors. In one of these sessions, the guest was Dr. Keltner, who wrote the book Awe. Got to bring it up here. In 2023. Keltner is a professor of psychology at University of California, Berkeley, and faculty director of UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center. His study and research into human experiences of awe and the effects of awe on our bodies, minds, and lives was influenced in part by his personal experience companioning his younger brother, Rolf, who died in his 50s of colon cancer. I was so taken with Dr. Keltner's words and witness that I bought his book. And what captured and resonated with me were his descriptions of how the human body experiences awe. You know, science, not my thing, but very interesting. His research team's findings on the major sources of human awe, and how finding awe in life is not dependent on financial resources, but it's available to all. In the next 10 minutes or so, I will share data and stories from his book and describe how I have benefited from his investigation into awe. Keltner's team defined awe as the feeling of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. The presence of being in the presence of something vast that transcends your current understanding of the world. One might say mind-blowing or mind-altering. So what about you? When did you last experience awe? Take a moment and try to recall a recent experience of awe. This morning, this weekend, in the last year. And then ask yourself, what induced this feeling or gave rise to your sense of awe? And how did it feel? How did it feel? And what effect did this experience have on you? Feelings that accompany awe often include wonder, amazement, curiosity, silence, surprise. Physically, one might be stilled, not paralyzed, but kind of shocked into stillness. Others may feel chills or shivers up and down one's spine. When awestruck, if not momentarily mute, a person might sigh out, "Whoa," or "Wow." Scientists have mapped awe's effects on the brain, showing that when we experience awe, our default mind network quiets down. That means a lessening of the excesses of the ego, including self-criticism, anxiety, and depression. As part of Keltner's study, 100 people from each of 26 countries were given the definition of awe and asked to write their experience of awe. Analyzing those 2,600 narratives from around the world, his team discerned similar themes or origins of awe, a taxonomy of awe, so to speak, that they call the 8 wonders of life. Now, what do you think most often induces awe in people? Anybody? Beauty. Nature. Music. Oh, y'all are on the right track. Well, Giving who I am, I thought nature, and studies showed that for Americans, nature is tops. But for humankind, the most prevalent cause was other people's courage, kindness, strength, or overcoming. And Keltner named this top category moral beauty. A British woman wrote of the awe she felt in watching her own daughter deliver a stillborn son, and the strength and bravery her daughter exhibited in such a difficult and disappointing event. A man from South Africa wrote, "I was in the Angolan War. One of our soldiers was shot. An officer risked his life and fears to drag the soldier to safety. In the process, the officer was wounded, but continued in saving the soldier's life." The next source of awe was collective effervescence. Collective effervescence. It's a term introduced by French sociologist Émile Durkheim, and it describes experiences buzzing or crackling with life that merge people into a collective self or tribe, a we. Across the 26 cultures, people told stories of weddings, christenings, bat mitzvahs, bar mitzvahs, graduations, sports celebrations, funerals, family reunions, and political rallies. The third wonder of life is nature, also called wild awe. I love that. From cataclysmic events like an earthquake or hurricane to gazing at a night sky or hiking in the mountains, first encounters with aspects of nature were also shared. A person from Mexico said her indelible experience of awe was the first time I saw the ocean. I was still only a child, listening to the waves, feeling the breeze, sensing its power. We need wild awe. It is hard to imagine, Keltner says, it is hard to imagine a single thing you can do that is better for your body and mind, and I would add spirit, than finding awe outdoors. And this is why I believed it was so important when I was chaplain at Heron Point in my extra time to get residents from Willowbrook Court, the skilled nursing center, and take them outside on the pier, let them feel the breeze, just help them connect with nature. And if they couldn't get outside, just get them by a window where they could see the river. The next source of awe is music. Someone said music, which has the power to transform us to new dimensions. A student in Switzerland from the study shared, "I was away on a trip to different monasteries with other students. We were in a Dominican monastery. It was around Christmas time. It was cold and snowing. The Romanesque church was only dimly lit, and you could hear Gregorian chants. The acoustics were unparalleled. A feeling of reverence for something bigger, and at the same time, a feeling of comfort came over me." Cellist Yumi Kendall describes her experience of playing in the Philadelphia Orchestra. She says, "When I play, I feel the vibration in my heart. These patterns go out into space. They envelop people, surround them with texture. It is beyond language, beyond thought, beyond religion. It is like a cashmere blanket of sound." Indeed, music can shift our bodies to a shared experience of awe. The next wonder for us humans, Keltner calls visual designs, also known as sacred geometries. We might see these in buildings. Anybody seen those terracotta warriors in China? In a dam, paintings, all of those appeared in stories from around the world. Keltner himself describes how as a kid, he was 15 and his brother Rolf was 14, and their parents took them to the Louvre in Paris. And they were running around with their Kodak Instamatics, taking pictures of the Mona Lisa and everything, just, running around like teenagers. And finally, his dad suggested that they stand for a moment in room 837 and study the Dutch masters. And it was in 17th century Peter de Hoog's paintings of scenes of Dutch citizens in Delft, usually women, cooking, doing laundry, petting dogs, sweeping, holding infants, picking lice out of their children's hair, breastfeeding, admiring a glass of ale. It was in those paintings that Docker was awestruck and suddenly saw the world in a different way. He says, I could feel from his painting the vast forces that unite us when moving in unison while doing laundry or being touched by sunlight. De Hoog opened my eyes to everyday awe. Stories of spiritual or religious awe were the sixth wonder of life. You may be familiar with the Apostle Paul's story of his conversion on the road to Damascus, or the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. A Singaporean wrote, I experienced awe when the Holy Spirit of God came upon me at a Life in the Spirit seminar organized by the Catholic Church. It was so powerful that I could not stand and instantly collapsed. But I was conscious of my surroundings, and as my eyes were closed, I could only see a very bright light. Before the event, I felt the world had rejected me, that no one cared. When the event happened, I immediately felt lifted, but most important of all, I felt loved. Stories of life and death comprise the seventh category, eliciting awe. Also, he quotes a lot of William James and the varieties of religious experiences. And I don't know if it was William James who talked about the fundamental it, capital I-T. But this category is also called the fundamental it. We are awestruck how in an instant life comes out of the womb. And on the other end, when a person dies, transitioning from a breathing physical being to some other form of existence. Keltner felt this kind of awe as he watched his brother die. Now, he had been working with a woman who studies transitions at death and had been working with her, so he'd been primed for this. But he describes how when Rolf's spirit or whatever left his body, there was something powerful and beautiful and vast, and yet he still felt and feels connected to him. The last of the 8 wonders of life identified through the 2,600 collected stories is epiphanies, when we suddenly understand essential truths about life. Around the world, people were awestruck by philosophical insights, scientific discoveries, metaphysical ideas, mathematical equations, personal realizations, and sudden disclosures that transform life in an instant. Someone from Japan shared, just before I was 12, I saw a science museum exhibit and understood the evolution of biology. I realized that human beings are undoubtedly only one species of many creatures. Do you remember an awe moment from childhood? Or maybe the one you thought of earlier was from childhood. Perhaps at school or camp or scouts or on the playground. Keltner believes that as children, we are more open to awe. Our default mind network isn't as strong. It hasn't taken over completely. The 2,600 stories reflect this big awe, typically, that resonated in people's lives for years, and yet awesome things surround us every day, if we but pay attention, as Mary Oliver would say. Some of the study included people that were asked to keep a daily awe journal. And as I considered this week, I thought, in the last few days, I have been awed by an MRI machine. My daughter's compassionate care for a stray cat who got run over for her kittens. The colorful night sky from the solar storm that I could see through my phone. Awe makes us pause, surprises us with vastness, points to connection or relationship, and generally stirs in us a sense of well-being, beauty, goodness, kindness, care. It leads to a vanishing of the self, to wonder, and to what William James calls saintly tendencies. It makes us live more kindly, live out that moral beauty. If we know which of these wonders is most likely to induce awe in us, then we can go in search of these experiences. Think back to what your moment of awe was that you thought of. Where would you put it in those 8 categories? Did you hear your category? As I said, for me, it's walking, but maybe it's listening to your favorite kind of music, or joining a community chorus, volunteering with children, taking daily walks, watching Nova or listening to Science Friday, practicing yoga. These could all be entries to moments, frequent moments of awe. I realized that my easiest entrance to awe is nature, and that my frequent walks on the Heron Point Pier were precious to me, as are my hiking vacations and my daily walks with Wesley, my dog. For me, seeking awe in my daily life has been a good antidote, not only to my grief, but also to my anxiety over polarized politics and occasional feelings of loneliness. Awe pulls me out of my default mind. It reminds me of the vastness of this world and helps me put my fears and feelings in perspective. Experiencing awe reminds me of this amazing gift of life, the vastness of the universe and the interconnection of all things. To be awestruck by a beautiful opera or the kindness of a stranger enveloped by a pine forest or cheering at a football game, practicing meditation or witnessing your dog deliver puppies, marveling over a math equation or holding a loved one's hand as they breathe their last, studying a masterpiece in a museum or watching your grandchild deftly and speedily troubleshoot a problem on your computer or phone. Is that not awesome? All of these cause us to pause, to awaken to some new insight or gift or realization, to feel our connection to earth and to others, and they may even impel us to whisper wow, or whoa, or oh my goodness. May we find time each day to be present to life, to witness its mysteries, for our sake and for the sake of the world.
Thank you, Ann. All right, now, before we go to a discussion, there's the opportunity for all of you to be awesome, lifting every voice and sing hymn number 149. That was awesome. This is for the discussion.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
And I just have so many reflections. One is that everybody knows I'm a gardener. And I still have asparagus coming from my garden. That's my favorite.
That's awesome.
There's a moment of awe that I think if you ever go to a musical performance, and if you're on the stage, which I often am, you can be in the audience, and there's a moment after the last sound when there's absolute silence that is awe. I mean, the people that are making the music feel it. The people in the audience feel it, and you communicate that to each other, and there's this silence that happens. It's just a brief one, but if you can wait for it and you have that experience, it's one that I find just fascinating.
Thank you. Just your telling it gives me chills. Thank you.
My husband Ted built a platform about 9 by 9 in our yard. And I thought it was the weirdest thing. It's like, why are you building a platform? However, now there's about 8 chairs, rockers and gliders. And I go out there and I just sit and look at the river, no matter whether it's what time of day, whether, it's sunny or not. And I'm always awestruck every time at how beautiful it is. Whether sometimes there's waves and ripples and bubbles from fish and eagles, and it every time, and it just calms me.
It's funny because usually I drive and I don't pay much attention to anything except the road. But today I brought my wheelchair and I riding up here and not going very fast, but moving along. And I looked at the beautiful trees that have been planted by Diane 10 years ago and how big they've gotten. I mean, it was all. So, I mean, I had an experience an hour ago. Okay, thank you.
I hope you have another one or two today.
On my way back, a little different.
Those experiences can sneak up on you. Judy and I went out last night in the dark looking for exposures to the west so that we could see a newly identified comet, which was supposedly visible. It was never visible for us. However, being out in the total dark and looking around, seeing a couple of deer walk by, that was an awesome feeling. There it was.
And I'm interested in how people feel. I mean, we've heard the words comfort, loved, embraced, lifted. What are the feelings and what are the effects of those experiences in our lives? In your life, think, just something good to reflect on. Anybody get Robert Hubble's letter? You're not on that political wavelength. He's a Substack writer, and I am a huge fan, and he keeps me calm too and inspired. But he's retired, except that he writes this daily newsletter. And in the last year, someone gave him, or he bought, a high-powered telescope. And so at the end of his newsletter, he has these pictures, from his telescope. And I just love, I'm not as interested in them as he is, and he'll tell you all about it, but I'm witnessing his experience of awe. And maybe you can see that, just as we could feel it and hear it in Philip and, as a musician, or the cellist as she was playing. We can see and witness that in other people too.
Well, thank you, Ann. Many thoughts to ponder. And do you have a closing thought for us?
There was so much I had to leave out. So I'm going to just share a couple of quotes. Again, I really commend this book, and if you are at all a scientist, you'll get even more out of it. I didn't go into all the chemical stuff in the brain, but it's fascinating. But here, to hear from two what I would call saints or prophets. The first from Albert Einstein. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. And Rachel Carson, she said, experiencing nature brings a sense of wonder so indestructible it would last throughout life. Those who dwell among the beauties and mysteries of the earth are never alone or weary of life. May we live with open hearts and open minds, ready to be awestruck.
Thank you, Ann. I'll now extinguish the chalice with the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And now, Michael, with our prelude. I'm sorry, postlude. Have an awesome day.